Hey guys, welcome back to Team Forbidden's YouTube page again. It is Andrew the Collector here with an updated deck for Anti-Meta or Stun. Sorry that it took me a little longer to get to this deck than I normally would have. The format is just so precise, especially with Malice and Ryziel kind of going crazy, that I had to really pick and choose like what I was going to utilize. Because, let's be honest, when it comes to stun and anti-meta in general, there's always going to be something available to you, regardless of what format it is. Obviously, unless they're either limited or banned. But it just took me some while to just kind of research and just figure out like what kind of particular cards work for this particular format. And I think I got a relatively good build. It did well with playtesting. I have yet to take it to my locals to test it out. I just haven't had the time. But yeah, let's just go ahead and just dive right into it. So first off, always the tried and true 3 Fossil Dino. As you guys know, Jowgen got banned. It's a travesty. I understand why they did it, but in terms of the relevance, it was completely unnecessary. The reason why they did it is because they wanted to make room for Ryziel, for Malice, for the new format, and so they wanted to get rid of anything that would stop that. And Jowgen was one of those things, because it was a spellcaster, and you could also team it up with Secret Village of the Spellcasters, which is one of the things that was kind of running around, in the rogue area. But out of nowhere, they just decided to hit it, and yeah, but we still have 3 Fossil Dino, which is still really good. And to replace Jowgen, I opted to put in 2 Barrier Statue of Torrent and Drought. If you guys don't know what these do, Drought, while you control it, you can only special summon, players can only special summon water monsters, and same thing with Drought, but it's only earth monsters. Now, one thing that you gotta understand is that if you have both Torrent and Drought out on the field at the same time, it locks your opponent out from special summoning in general. It's basically if you have a Fossil Dino on the field. Keep that in mind. I did check and I did play test it, so it does work that way. But yeah, these are the best attributes. Obviously, the Torrent one, the Wind, is what is the best barrier statue, but it's obviously banned because of Floowandereeze, which is a deck I'll get to a little later. Don't worry about that. As far as other monsters, I decided to put in 1 Gendo, the Akestic Monk. For those of you who don't know what this is, face-up attack position monsters cannot activate their effects. And this defense position card cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So basically, this guy is the death sentence for Link monsters, aka Malice. So if or even if your opponent has a bunch of face-up attack position monsters, as soon as this guy hits the board, they're locked out of their monster effects. It's really good. It's basically, I guess, the pseudo replacement for Jowgen, because its stat line is almost similar, except for its defense, and it's a spellcaster. So, there's that. But yeah, I play tested with it, not only online, but in Master Duel, and it just works really well when you get it off. And I'm putting in 2 Thunder King Ryo. Searching is becoming a lot more relevant, especially with Ryziel running around. So having this guy out on the field definitely helps, but keep in mind it also does hurt you, obviously. And then 2 Ecclesia, because it's Ecclesia, we need to get to Punishment as soon as possible, plus it's just an extra body on board. Now into the spells, there's a lot of them. We have 3 Tearing Morganite. It's standard with every stun deck I've made. You have to have 3 of them to draw 2 cards instead of 1 during the draw phase and get an extra normal summon. It's really good. 3 Duality and 1 Prosperity to increase consistency. And I'm opting to main 3 Ultimate Slayer. This card has been such a godsend for this deck and any other deck this format. Because, let's face it, Ryziel is the biggest menace right now, and it's probably going to be for the foreseeable future. And this card just absolutely obliterates their Detonator, because it gets around what makes Detonator so good. And it works pretty much with every other deck as long as you have the resources in your extra deck. It works really well, and it's not once per turn. So if you open up multiples in your hand, you're good to go. 3 Decisive Battle to protect against destruction and battle. With Detonator running around, this card has become a little bit less relevant because this card's protection effect is only once per turn, and Detonator can activate it multiple times per chain, which is absolutely bonkers. But I'm still opting to run 3. 2 Moonmere Shield and 1 Power of the Guardians. I usually want to put in 3 Moonmere Shield, which is why Power of the Guardians is in here. But I don't have a third, but, you know, figure out the ratios of whichever works best for you. 2 Nadir Servant to get to your Ecclesias. 2 Necro Valley to lock out your opponent's graveyard. And 2 Clockwork Knight. I was able to finally get myself on Clockwork Knight. For those who don't know, while this card's on the field, all monsters on the field become machine type, which, you know, can be a floodgate in and of itself. All machine monsters that you control gain 500 attack, and all your opponents that your opponent controls lose 500 attack. I was thinking about putting spoiler alert, it's not in the side deck, but I was thinking about putting Cyber Dragon in the side deck, so that way I can utilize the Fortress Dragon and Mega Fleet Dragon to just wipe your opponent's board clean. But yeah, really good, and I'm finally glad I was able to get my hands on some. Now if I do the traps, the only traps I'm running are 3 Judgment, 2 Storming, and 2 Punishment. I don't have any Floodgates in this, because I'm a firm believer that you don't need Skill Drain. Well, Skill Drain's banned right now, but you don't really need a lot of Floodgates, as long as you have the monster Floodgates running around, because the whole thing is that if Detonator is on the board, and you try and activate your trap Floodgates, he's just going to pop them away. But if you have your monsters and you summon him out like the Monk, it's not an activation, so you just lock them out of their effects anyway, which is why I opted to increase the monsters Floodgates a little bit more than last time. But yeah, that is it for the main deck. Let's just go real quick into the extra deck. So for the decisive battles, we have 3 Titaniclad, 3 Mirror Jade, and 1 Albion. Titaniclad is the one that you're going to be sending most with decisive battle to get to your Ecclesias as soon as possible. Mirror Jade is another choice, but I also have it in here because it's a good punishment target, because it's the Albez fusion monster with the highest attack, and Albion is just there for a 7th target. And we have 2 Elder T Entest, Garura for, you know, the things that you can send off Nadir Servant, or Punishment, or even Ultimate Slayer if you want. But the other Ultimate Slayers are going to be the Golden Cloud Beast, the Agulator, which is what we use against the Detonator, and for the link target we have Tri-Brigade to send off the Ultimate Slayer or anything else, to also send Garura to get a draw. And the last part I have in here is 1 Mud Dragon, because I am thinking about wanting to put Super Poly in this deck somewhere. I just haven't figured out exactly if it's... I haven't figured out if it's useful exactly during this format, because it does nothing against Ryzeal, let's be honest. But, you know, other decks it has a chance, but I just put Mud Dragon here just for an extra slot. You can put another Albion in there for some more targets, but, you know, fiddle around with the ratios if you want. And for the side deck, 2 Inspector Border. I really miss the days when I could main deck this guy, but it's not as relevant. But I do have it in here if Flunderies it ever becomes one of my matchups, because everything else in this deck, aside from the Monk, probably doesn't do anything to Flu. But Inspector Border pretty much shuts that deck down. For Malice, 2 Chaos Hunter, and then we have the extra Ryu and extra Monk. 2 Ghost Sister for the time. Secret Village, if you're going up against Runic, if Jalgin were still legal, I would be putting this in the main instead of Necro Valley, or in addition to Necro Valley. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I'm only putting it here for the side in case I need it. 2 Lose 1 turns, because it is a really good card, and 3 Evenly Matched to, you know, even up the match. But that is it for the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments about the deck, or if you want to see any future decks or any future videos, please comment them down below. But until then, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down below for notifications, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. And we'll see you later in the year.